Hey everyone, it's Amanda and Derek again with No Cookies for You. Thank you again for joining us. We're excited to have you on and be a part of our episode where we are diving into data mapping and inventories, things like assets, processing activities, vendors, projects, and we also have some cookies to review as well.
Welcome back to No Cookies for You. So we're going to change it up a little bit today. I'm having another protein cookie. I don't have an excuse for having the protein cookie. I went to the gym this morning and I'm not planning to party hard tonight or tomorrow. But I just grabbed it at the store. And so I, didn't prepare with a nice twisted sugar cookie or crumble. Now, if Crumble would sponsor us, I would have crumble cookies all the time. They're a Utah company. How can they not sponsor us? But yes, I'm doing this peanut butter chocolate chip Quest protein cookie.
Nice. Peanut butter chocolate chip. Yeah, it sounds awesome. I, on the other hand, have gotten some Milano cookies, and they came out with a mint chocolate cookie. So I've had like the original, I'm a big fan of mint. So like anybody in my family, they kind of know that like I just like the flavor of mint. I'll take like mint chewing gum, and then I'll take like mint breath mints, and I'll kind of like put it all together. And like baseball players put like a chew in, like a ton of gum with breath mints in there, which is something kind of crazy. But I'm excited to try these cookies and see how they go.
All right. So what should we dive into first? There's the way I think about inventories is in 4 parts, right? You have your assets, and Derek can provide definitions to these, processing activities, your vendors or third parties or suppliers, whatever you want to call them, and then projects. And a lot of people get turned around between processing activities and projects. And so you want to define those for us?
Yeah, definitely. And the first one I've got is for assets, right? And this says like any data, devices or components within an organization that support, information related activities, which I think is like a good short definition. And some examples that I think of, stuff like a technical application like Google Cloud Console or Microsoft, Salesforce, right? CMDB, maybe like an in-house database, right? Like something that is a container, right? That like can house information, is the way I kind of think about assets. And
how about file cabinets? Would you consider a file cabinet like file cabinet 1 in storage room 200? Like that could be an asset, right?
Oh yeah, physical storage, like for sure, is considered an asset as well. Right? I think of going to the doctor's office like as a kid and seeing all these big filing cabinets full of files, right? And stuff that's like proprietary information, right? But I mean, outside of physical storage, technical applications, or maybe something on-prem that you have, right? I think of an asset has something that has like information in it. And from a privacy perspective, we really care about, is it personal information? Is it sensitive personal information? Or is it just a filing cabinet full of Milano cookies or paper clips or something, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Processing activities, records of business activities involved in the collection, storage, processing, use, disclosure, sharing, or even selling of information. And to be transparent, like when I first got into the data privacy space, like I kind of had a hard time understanding like what is a processing activity. So it took me a little while to be okay. Now I get it, right?
Same.
And good to hear that you said that as well.
Yeah,
Because
it was the most confusing concept because I'm like, what? And I can tell you what, there isn't a right or wrong way to define your a company's processing activities. But what it's not is a specific project right? So it's a higher level than the project. Now, the project may be related to your processing activity, but unless it's it's a project where you're standing up a different line of business and you're doing a different thing with data, I could see that project kind of creating a processing activity. But I really want to, because that is so hard for people to understand. Even people who've been doing it a while, they're like, oh, wait, that's not a processing activity. It's a project or just an activity that we do, but not necessarily it belongs to this higher level processing activity. So yeah, it is one of the most confusing concepts.
yeah, I really like especially if you're maybe starting a privacy program or something, is like defining a list of those, like here are the core like processing activities, business, and defining what those are based on what market that you're in. And then like, I like what you said about the projects, right? So you may have, here's like this high level processing activity. You may have a new project, right? You may be doing something new with like user authentication, or like a new digital marketing kind of campaign that you're running. So that, that project may be campaign for like 3 or 4 months, and it kind of lives under that like digital marketing processing activity. There's just some things that I think about, when it comes to processing activities, and then that concept of projects being related to a processing activity. Some other examples that come to mind too is like maybe IT, like you're managing user accounts or managing customer user accounts, for a website or a purchasing type flow, right? Especially if they're buying something and entering it into a subscription. And then user authentication is one that I like to use as an example as well. But any other good examples that you can think of, Amanda? I know there's quite a few, but I would love your perspective on it.
I think of processing activities at the very highest level as how we are handling personal information, whether it's collecting, organizing, archiving, destroying. It's more of about the handling, the processing of personal data. So it could be payroll processing. That is a processing activity that most organizations have. So I like to think of it as like, okay, this is just when I get twisted on it, this is what processing activity does it belong to? How is how it is the handling? So are we marketing to customers? Okay, so it would be like under the marketing processing activity. And so that's just how I like to think about it in my brain because it still trips me up sometimes.
I can remember uh, there's a gentleman, like I don't want to drop his name, but like the super expert on like privacy and stuff. And he talked about this concept of data actions and problematic data actions. So I think of processing activities, kind of data
Totally.
action. Yeah. But yeah, I'll have to read his stuff again to make sure I'm not getting that wrong. But yeah, he has like a great understanding of like the NIST privacy framework as well. And he does like a great job of explaining it, right? So maybe I can convince him to come on as a guest sometime because he's very, very knowledgeable in the space.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And he'll fact check you.
Oh yeah, big time.
Be like, no, that's not right. Wait, I screwed that up. So should we talk about third parties or projects next? Kind of.
I think we should talk about third parties because a project can involve a third party, but I don't want to steal the shine.
Oh,
I'm going to
no.
go on assets and processing activities. I'll let you go into vendors for us.
Vendors are really, they could be your service providers. They could really be true third parties according to like US privacy law. But it's anyone that you're doing business with, that you're sharing, especially if you're sharing personal information with them, even if it's just IP address or cookie ID or maybe things that you, not first name, last name, account number, but maybe more obscure data points that are really personal information. So anyone that you're paying or exchanging services for, or that has otherwise access to your company's personal information, is a vendor, and should be categorized as such. However, their designation with the law could vary, right? Some of them can be service providers, in which case they have a little more leniency, and you don't have to do certain things like pass requests to them, or so it varies between service parties or service providers and third parties. But yeah, I think third party is pretty self-explanatory. The way I think about it is just anyone that your company is doing business with and sharing personal information with. That's third party.
Agree with you. And it's even just from personal using like the internet, it's insane like how much stuff we use, right? And there's businesses with 20, 30,000 vendors that they use, and very interesting like space. Definitely something I like too. I think there's some good stuff there, and some good processes and things that you and I have worked on in the past for making sure that you're compliant from a privacy perspective with your suppliers. So very important.
And projects can definitely include all three of those, right? So you can have a project with a third party that also is, you have an asset that's sending information to the third party under a marketing processing activity, right? So, and that's where those PIAs, if done properly, come in handy, because you can map all that out if you ask the right questions in the right way. Which is very fun, right? Seeing the map and the map build over time, I think is awesome.
Oh yeah. Catching in the PTA, excuse me, like privacy threshold, assessment, or express assessment, and depending on who's listening. It definitely does a really nice job of creating that like data life cycle of where things begin and essentially where they end. And I like how you called out the asset piece, right? So you may have like a project that's with a supplier for like a new engagement, that's a new piece of technology, right? So you also have that asset, right? That technical piece that comes along with that engagement that is involved in like marketing campaign or something, right? So it's important to capture all of those things and build that lineage diagram and relationships, right? And coming back to those data actions, right? And then finding, the problematic ones. But definitely agree with you there.
Sweet. Well, we like to keep these episodes short and sweet. We're going to have this is data inventories and data mapping is going to be a multi-episode conversation. So I think the next episode we have teed up to really talk about like, how do we assess and build that data map, right? Do we do it manually? Do we do it with tools? There's all kinds of approaches. So I think our next episode is talking about those different approaches to building that data map and data inventory. So super happy that we had this conversation just to level set on what inventories we're talking about when we go into the next episodes. How's your cookie?
I've already ate like 3 or 4 of them since we've been having this conversation. They're really good. It's not like overly minty. It's just got like the perfect amount. And, I wouldn't expect anything less from Milano cookies. So they're pretty amazing. I will be getting them again for sure.
If it says soft and chewy on here, and I can attest, it is soft and chewy. It's actually quite tasty. You wouldn't even know that it's a protein cookie. I mean, it does have a bunch of peanut butter in it, so yeah, that's put a lot of protein in peanut butter, but it's quite tasty.
And you can get those at like a grocery store. Is it the like one you're talking about?
No, my local grocery store, so Smith's is where I frequent. But any Vons or Kroger, Myers, I don't know what they have in the South.
Yeah, we've got a few like Kroger, Publix. I don't know if you guys have those. Dude, their sandwiches, oh man. Like for the grocery chain, they make good sandwiches. We got a few others too, but like I just don't remember them off the top of my head. I'm more of if I need something to eat, I just run in and run out, like kind of person. So
speaking of which, I should probably get something to eat. All right, other than a cookie. I mean, this is delicious, but real food is probably warranted. All right, Derek, it's been a great episode. Do we have anything else for our listeners who have spent 20 minutes with us?
I mean, if you have any comments, feedback, or questions for us, feel free to contact us, and happy to respond. And thank you for listening.
Give our episode a thumbs up. Follow us on the channels, 5 stars. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.
See you later.